after they'll be able to restore the waters and fix them, and they'll have the materials and knowledge that's needed for them to be doing that themselves as a community. And so it's really suitable in that regard.
Tamara Stratton says she's hoping to head back over to Tonga at the end of the year for trials. A group of 32 civil society organisations is writing to the French President Emmanuel Macron, calling on him to change the stance for the indigenous Kanak people of New Caledonia. The group said it strongly supports the call by the FRNKS and other pro-independence groups that only a non-violent response to the crisis would lead to a viable solution. And it says President Macron must heed the call for an eminent persons group to ensure the current crisis is resolved peacefully and impartiality is restored to the decolonisation process. John Wiseman spoke with Joey Kau of PANG, the Pacific Network on Globalisation, which is one of the civil society bodies involved.
Well, I just want to thank you for this opportunity, but also it is to really highlight France's, in this case, the Macron administration's inability of fulfilling the Nouméa Accord. In our statements, in our numerous statements, and you would have seen statements from around the region, there have been numerous events or incidents that have led to where New Caledonia is at in its present state, with the Kanaks themselves not happy with where they've headed to in terms of negotiating a pathway with Paris. So you understand the referendums, 3 votes went ahead, or rather the 3rd vote went ahead during a time when the world was going through a global pandemic. And the Kanaks have clearly, prior to the 3rd referendum, have called on Paris to halt, but yet France went ahead and imposed the 3rd referendum. Thus, the Kanaks boycotted the 3rd referendum. All of these have just led up to where the current tension is right now. The recent electoral proposal by France is a slap for Kanaks, who have been negotiating, trying to find a path. So in general, the concern that Pacific regional NGOs and civil societies, not only in the Pacific, but at the national level in the Pacific, are concerned about France's ongoing attempt to administer New Caledonia, but its inability to fulfill the Nouméa Accord.
In terms of stopping the violence and opening the dialogue, the problem, I suppose, a lot of people in Caledonia and the French government itself might argue is that Kanaks have been heavily involved in quite a lot of the violence that's gone down in the last few weeks. So, have you squared out?
It has been going. It has been a growing tension, Don. But this is not to ignore the growing military presence and the security personnel build-up. You have roughly about 3,000 military personnel or security personnel deployed in Nouméa or in Conakry within 2 weeks.
I think, yes, but businesses were being burned down, houses were being burned down.
Well, as regional civil societies, we condone all forms of violence, and thus we have been calling for peaceful means of restoring peace talks. But this is not to ignore the fact that there is growing military build-up. The ongoing military build-up needs to be also carefully looked at as it continues to instigate tension on the ground, limiting people, limiting the indigenous people's movements. And it just brings me back to, the similar riots that happened before New Caledonia came to an accord with, as per the Nouméa Accord. It's history repeating itself. So like I said earlier on, it generally highlights France's inability to hold peace talks or the pathway forward for New Caledonia. There's this PR statement we've been calling on that we need neutral parties, we need a high eminence group of neutral people to facilitate the peace talks between Kanaks and France.
So this eminent person group to be drawn from who? From where?
Well, the UNC 24 committee meets Next week, we are calling on the UN to initiate a high eminence person, but this facilitate this together with the Pacific Island Forum Secretariat. Have independent Pacific leaders as well as world leaders intervene and facilitate peace talks between both the Kanak pro-independence leaders and, of course, Macron and his administration.
So you would be looking for the eminent persons group perhaps to be centrally involved in drawing up a new accord to replace the Noumea Accord?
Well, I think the Noumea Accord, as per the Noumea Accord, the Kanaks have been trying to negotiate the next phase post the referendum, and I think this has brought the current situation. So the civil society called very much support consultants on the ground who are willing, who are asking for experts or neutral persons from the region and internationally to intervene. And this would help facilitate a path forward between both parties. Should it be an accord or should it be the next phase? But we also have to remember New Caledonia Kanak is on the list of the Committee of 24, which is the UN committee that is listed for decolonization. So how do we progress a territory? I guess the question for France is how does it progress a territory that is listed to be decolonized post this recent event, post the referendum, and it has to be now.
Joe, you are currently at the Pacific Arts Festival in Hawaii. There's a lot of the Pacific there. How do issues like New Caledonia come up?
The opening ceremony, which launches the 2-week-long festival, saw a different turntable where we had flags representing Kanak and New Caledonia, West Papua, flying so high at this opening ceremony. You had the delegation of Guam, who, in their grand entrance, brought the Kanaki flag with them, a sense of solidarity. And when Fiji took the podium, it acknowledged countries and Pacific peoples that are not there to celebrate rightfully. Fiji had acknowledged West Papua, New Caledonia, amongst others. And you can see a sense of regional solidarity and this growing consciousness as to the wider Pacific family when it comes to arts, culture, and our way of being. So yeah, the opening ceremony was interesting, but it will be interesting to see how the festival pans out and how issues of the territories that are still under colonial administration get featured or get acknowledged within the festival. The fashion, arts, dance, music, it's going to be a really interesting few weeks.
The spirit of unity at the 13th Festival of Pacific Arts and Culture continues on as thousands of delegates and festival attendees immerse themselves in all the unique cultural displays. Joining me is Tiana Hexton, who's covering the event. Aloha Tiana, what's the atmosphere like so far at FestPac?
Aloha Sana. The atmosphere is absolutely electric. It is a whole vibe here. It's amazing really. Like you can come in at any time throughout the day and the day just runs away. It just disappears on you. There's so much happening. Everything is just so alive here. It's amazing.
Oh, you're making me envious here. So the theme of FestPac is about rekindling of cultures. What relevance does that have for the delegates that you've spoken with?
Yes, so I've spoken to quite a few delegates here, performing groups, fashion designers, arts and crafts makers, and they've all really taken this theme and interpreted it in their own way. So one fashion designer I spoke to from Samoa has taken the theme and found a contemporary way to express it through fashion. So taking traditional elements of clothing like the tapa cloth and finding ways to put it together in an outfit that you could see someone on the red carpet wearing. It's just amazing. The performances as well, there's been a great mix of very traditional performances to very contemporary performances. I spoke to one of the directors of the Fijian delegation that are here, and he said
some really powerful things about how the contemporary way of portraying culture, or finding contemporary ways to portray culture, is going to be the future of how cultural practices survive for future generations. And I also understand that some of the delegates, they weren't even aware of other Pacific countries or cultures that are out there. How did that conversation come about?
Yeah, so it was actually the same guy I spoke to from the Fijian delegation. He said that on this festival trip, he's learned about Rapa Nui, Easter Island, and their traditions. And Rapa Nui, this is their biggest delegation they've ever brought to the festival. They're over 100 strong, and they've got performers as young as 8 years old right up to 80 years old here to share their culture and their language, and to show that their culture is still alive. And for this director from the Fijian group, he said he was absolutely blown away when he first saw them on the stage. He had never heard of them before. He had never seen their performances before, their costumes before. And he's been loving being able to see the similarities between some countries and their cultural performances, their languages, their arts and crafts, and then some countries who are just completely different. It's the whole other side of the coin. It's been an incredible cultural exchange, that's for sure.
Now, obviously, you've been at the centre quite a few times, and you've spoken with a lot of delegates. Tell me, what's the market like?
Yeah, so there are two kind of market spaces. So downstairs, they've got Pacific Village. So this is where you have the whānau, the houses set for each Pacific nation that is represented here. And in there, you've got your artisans making the crafts in front of you, and such a variety as well. You've got sculptures, paintings, traditional stamps and earrings, the whole variety.
Just staying on top of what's the market, it's been rumoured that vendors charged with sky-high fees. What more could you tell us about that?
Yeah, so I have asked around as well today with different vendors, and in the downstairs area, the Pacific Village area, they're saying there is a 40% fee that they are from selling their products at the moment. And so some have had to take to increasing the prices on their products to be able to make it worthwhile, because they've all travelled such long distances to be here and showcase their wear. I haven't been able to speak to one of the organisers or anywhere up high about why these charges are so